friends, I'm so glad you're back to learn more about gratefulness with me. Let's say our definition together. Gratefulness is letting others know by my words and actions how they have benefited my life. Very good. Let's go explore more about gratefulness.
Hey, Miss Elizabeth,
Hi, Mr. Josiah.
you can show gratefulness as well by taking care of your things because part of gratefulness is taking care of your things. Here, let me show you. I have here a bag of different items
This
of things.
fancy.
Yeah, of things we can show gratefulness for, or like how we can take care of stuff. So feel free to reach in and take one out.
Wow.
Oh,
A shirt?
yep, this is a shirt.
How do we show gratefulness with a shirt?
Well, it's not showing gratefulness with the shirt. It's how you can show gratefulness to the person who gave you the shirt.
Ooh.
So you have clothes, right? I have clothes. So we can show gratefulness to the person who gave us this clothes by keeping it safe or like keeping it clean. So perhaps when we get new clothes, we can fold it up and put it away. And when we're finished wearing something, instead of tossing it onto the floor, we can wash it and then put it away. So this is one of the things we can show gratefulness for.
Wow, that's really cool. I like that. Can I get something else out?
Go on ahead.
You want to see? A baby doll?
A baby. Well, it's not quite a baby doll, but what this represents is, do you have any younger siblings?
I do.
You do. And so has your parents ever asked you to take care of them or watch them?
Yes, because I'm one of the oldest in my family.
So this baby doll represents your responsibilities. And so when your mom and dad ask you to watch them, you can take care of your things, take care of your responsibilities by doing it, by making sure you complete the job. And so it's not just watching your baby siblings, but it could also be chores and stuff. So how you can show gratefulness to all the things you've been giving is by doing them and by finishing them.
Okay.
So
What else is in here? What in the world is this?
it's a
Clock. What does this represent?
So this clock represents time, but not your time. This is the time of other people. So how you can take care of other people's time, the time that they give you, is you can, for instance, if you're in class, your teacher's teaching, you can pay attention and participate in class instead of doing your own thing. Another one is maybe your friends or your parents, maybe they're waiting on you. Now, that wouldn't be taking care of their time.
No.
So a way you can show gratefulness for their time is by maybe getting 5 minutes early so that they don't have to wait for them, by taking care, making sure that you're not wasting their time.
That's a great idea, Mr. Josiah. What other treasures are in here? A steering wheel?
It's a Frisbee.
Oh,
So-
the frisbee.
This represents your toys and other stuff. So,
Okay.
Ooh likes toys. I like toys.
I like toys.
Yeah. And so when we finish playing with toys, how often do we leave them on the floor?
Maybe more often than I should.
Yes, and that's not actually taking care of your toys when you leave them on the floor because someone may step on them and break them, or you may lose it. And that won't be being very, that wouldn't show gratefulness
No.
at all to whoever bought you the toy or the toy itself. So what you can do is when you finish playing with a toy, and before you pull out a new one or before you go off for dinner or anything, you can put away your old toys and make sure that everything is clean and tidy
Wow.
and put away.
That makes sense. Is this, do you guys want to see?
I think they should see.
A what?
This is a waffle, I believe.
It's a waffle.
But what this
Oh.
represents your food and water, your daily
Okay.
necessities.
Yes.
So a way you can show care for your food and water is by just taking enough. Because have you ever seen someone take too much food on their table plate and then they have to end up throwing it all away?
Yes, I've seen that. It's kind of wasteful.
Yeah, and so that's not taking care of what they have or showing a lot of gratefulness to what they have. So what you can do is take just enough, maybe just enough dinner, lunch, or breakfast, and not having to waste anything. So that is a way you can show gratefulness for your food.
I like that. Wow, there's so many ways we can show gratefulness. Ooh, is this a treasure box?
Oh, would you like to open it?
Yes.
So
Wow.
this represents
It's a diamond.
your precious things. Maybe it's a gift given from your parents or from someone who's special to you. So this represents all those precious things that people give you. Maybe it's a memento or a keepsake. Maybe it's like a necklace that's given from your mom, passed down from generation to generation, or maybe a watch. And so, how would I treat this diamond? Would I toss it onto the floor?
Don't do that, Mr. Josiah.
No.
It might break. Maybe this was probably a great idea to keep it in this treasure box.
Exactly.
Right? Should we put it back in here?
So what we can do is when we are given special items, maybe something expensive or maybe something precious, we can keep it safe and keep it clean. Maybe it's a computer. You can keep the computer clean. You can make sure it's not out in the rain or something. Or if it's like a special present, you can keep it in your drawers or on your table. Make sure it's not on the floor. So that is showing gratefulness to whoever gave you that.
Wow, that's really good. I like that. Oh. Are these?
I think it's a glove, not a sock.
Oh, I thought it was a sock. I was like, oh no.
So what these gloves represent, these represent the things that you wanted instead of the things you got. So have you ever gotten gloves or like socks for Christmas when you wanted this brand new toy or this iPad?
Oh, that wasn't quite what I was hoping for.
Yes. And so sometimes you don't feel very grateful for things like that.
It's true.
But in fact, we can show gratefulness by just thanking whoever gave it to you and keeping it safe, because part of gratefulness is taking care of your things. So instead of complaining and whining about what you have and what you didn't get, you can instead thank the person who gave it to you, and you could take care of it.
Wow, I like that.
And use it.
Is this the last thing in here?
It's an onion.
Onion?
Yes. So this onion represents healthy food.
Okay.
Onions are pretty healthy. But not just healthy food. This represents all the things you don't really like at the moment, but are good for you.
Because onions kind of make me cry.
Yeah, they do. But then onions are pretty healthy for you. So this is kind of like healthy food. So kind of like how when you have to eat healthy food versus like all the food you do like, it's kind of like this. And it's pretty hard to be grateful for things you don't like. But the thing about like homework or healthy food is they're eventually good for you in the long run. So it may not be good now, they will be good for you later. So a way we can show gratefulness is by, instead of complaining about what we have and all the homework we may have, you can instead think, how can this help me later down in my life? And so when we do that, we can instead show gratefulness, or we can have a better attitude when we have to do homework and stuff.
That's really good.
And so these are all different ways we can show gratefulness.
There are so many different ways. Thank you, Mr. Josiah. I'm realizing I have so many gifts that I've been given and ways that I can be grateful. And even like one of those ways is I can use the things that I've been given for their intended purposes. Thank you so much, Mr. Josiah, for helping me understand the gifts that I've been given.
Oh, no problem, Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah, but just because you have nice stuff, have you ever thought about what happens if you don't keep it nice?
Ooh, that's a really good question. No? Can you help me understand that?
Okay, so this used to be one of my favorite hats, and I would wear it all the time when we did like dress up and stuff like that. But sometimes it would kind of like go to the bottom of my backpack, and then I'd put everything else on top of it. And then it kind of got a little bit like this. Now, would you rather have this hat, which is kind of lived on the bottom of my backpack, or this hat that I've been keeping in a box in my closet? You can kind of tell the difference when you don't take care of things, right? So if I don't take care of this hat, it will eventually look kind of like this. And maybe you guys have crayons, right? Maybe you get a brand new box of crayons, right? And they all look nice, and you have all the colors, and they're so pretty, and they're sharp, and you can use them. But if you don't take good care of your crayons, eventually they start to look kind of like these ones, right? They get broken and the papers come off, and they're a lot harder to use. They don't fit in the box the same, all because you didn't take care of them. So one way to keep them nice is to put them back in the box when you're finished. Or even your papers. So I found this paper, and it got a little bit beat up. It looks like it's been water damaged because it's got all these like spots on it, and then my crayons got spilled on top of it and kind of smeared on it. But this paper is clean. It's been kept in the shelf, and so it looks a lot better. Would you rather use this paper or this paper? Most of us want to use this paper, right? It's clean and you can start over, whereas this one already has some drawing on it that we might not have wanted. So if we want to use this kind of paper, we have to make sure that we're keeping it nice by keeping it on a shelf or putting it back in a drawer where it belongs, rather than leaving it out where it might get wet or dirty. And the same, you guys also probably have pencils that you use. Now this one, it looks like someone has been chewing on the end of it. And the tip of it is broken off. If you guys don't want to use a pencil like this, then you have to make sure you're keeping it nice, like this pencil, right? This pencil has the nice eraser, and nobody's been chewing on this one. And also the tip is nice. So if you want to use a pencil that's not broken, you have to make sure to sharpen it and take good care of it. Maybe you have a pencil box you can keep it safe in, rather than putting it in the bottom of a backpack and piling your books on top. Then it will just get broken. And it's the same with food too. Have you guys ever had a bag of chips and then you put it at the bottom? Or maybe your mom asked you to get it, and when you brought it up, you kind of squeezed it a little bit too hard, and then when the chips came out, they looked a little bit like they weren't supposed to look. I have a bag that wasn't really kept very nice, and if you squeeze these chips too hard, they will all eventually look kind of like these ones, all broken and nasty. We need to make sure that if we want good chips, that we're not squeezing the bag. We have to take care of the things that we have. So we all want to have nice things, right? But in order to have nice things, we need to make sure we're keeping things nice. So you guys can show gratefulness by putting things back where they belong when you're finished with them. Maybe it's putting your toys away and making sure you're taking care of the things you have so you can have nice things.
I wonder what would happen if I didn't put my things away.
Once upon a time, though it was not in my time, nor your time, nor for that matter in anyone's time, there lived a young lad who must needs remain under the roof of his house for a prolonged period of time. Now you might think perchance he was imprisoned by a mighty dragon, or indentured to a fiendish person, but neither this nor that are true. Rather, a malady, an illness, 'twas sweeping across the land, and it was paramount for the lad to abide in his refuge, to make safe himself, his family, and others in the region. It is said that he was a studious lad, and though he could not meet with his instructor as he was often wont to do, he ensured that a particular amount of each day was given to deliberate study of his books. Many times it so happened that he would develop a tremendous appetite for victuals during these measures of poring over words and formulas, so in order to curb the rumblings of his stomach, he would nibble on little morsels of refreshment. He took great delight in such bites as pastries with icing of cocoa, crisply fried potato slices, and thin bread topped with pressed tomatoes, creamy cheeses, and small meats, to describe just a few of his favourites. Oftentimes, as he was deeply immersed in the fervour of his studies during these times of munching, the lad would fail to remember to dispose of the little parcels which held these luscious refreshments. Ere long, a vast heap of rubbish happened to accumulate in the nooks and crannies of his bedchamber. The lad's mother happened into his room one fateful day. She straightway observed the hodgepodge of rubbish, and exclaimed, "Whence forth are these filth and fragments? It is not well for you to continue in such disarray." She then excited in a scurry, only to enter the room anew with a black pouch intended for containing the debris which was strewed about. "Laddie, you ought to neaten this abode forthwith," she scolded. Regrettably, the lad was in no haste to write in his bedchamber. Lazily the time passed as it oft wont to do. Hours transpired as minutes came and went, with the ticking away of each second. The shadows grew long as the sun descended, dancing scarcely above the distant horizon. He was suddenly taken aback as a mysterious form arose from the corner. Squinting and straining in an attempt to perceive what the shadowy creature might be, and trying to comprehend how such a monstrosity had happened upon his safe abode, he cried out with wavering voice, "I say, who goes there?" The silence that reverberated back to his ears felt deafening. He watched in dismay as the silhouette swelled and surged upward in stature. Cowering with a strong foreboding, his mind in a whirlpool of thoughts, his kneecaps unbridled by fear, hammering one against the other, when he came to a sudden realization. This horrendous monster, indeed, was not other than the massive heap of rubbish which he had granted dwelling in his bedchamber. Acting on a renewed valour, the lad seized the black pouch previously delivered by his mother, and opening the pouch to its greatest volume, rushed headlong towards the filth beast. A mighty strife ensued as the lad and the beast clashed in battle, the one fighting for cleanliness and the recovery of his bedchamber, the other whirling about, desiring to make permanent residency in his lodging. Capturing all the rubbish, and leaving no shred of it to occupy his room, the lad secured it tightly in the pouch, and promptly discarded it within a sizable trunk. Triumphantly brushing his palms across his trousers, and soon after wiping the gathered perspiration from his brow, he resolved from such a moment in time that he would never more suffer rubbish, peaceful abode in his habitation whatsoever. Nay, he would purge all parcels, filth, and fragments, and forthwith banish them to a black pouch upon the conclusion of their required services. And I ask of you, dear hearer, wouldst thou make the same resolve as this so fine a lad, so that thou mightest prevent any causeless encounters with such a filth beast? Now all is past, the story also, for all stories must come to an end at last.
Thank you to my friends for teaching me the importance of taking care of my things. My challenge for you and me this week is to put away our toys and our trash in their proper place before starting something new.